The Evil of All Beings Chapter 1 Adventure on a barren mountain, China mainland billions of miles, there is a country called Zhou. Zhou country has a vast territory, a great 10,000 miles, can be described as rich 4 seas, and the north of the week has a mountain, called 9 Immortals. The mountain stretches for thousands of miles, north of the North Sea, the south end of the Immortal Bridge. It was the height of summer in July, and the rain-washed valley was fresh, the bushes were green and vibrant. The setting sun cast its warm glow upon Juxian Mountain's backside. The sunset radiance resembled flames painting the earth red. Deep within Juxian Mountain lay an expanse of dense forest, with 3 or 2 thatched houses nestled behind it. Jingle, jingle. The percussive sounds intermingled with song emanated from one of these cottages and reverberated through time. Birds in the forest chirped to this rhythm as if accustomed to its peculiar melody. Thunder and thunder. Birds lull to sleep in their woodland nest. Smoke spirals into skyward ascent. Mountain deities slumber atop their peaks. Boys within busy forging iron. Prattling away is a boy clad in coarse hemp fabric that barely conceals his ribs. Despite his slender frame, he wields his hammer against glowing embers with such force that sparks fly. Just 14 years old with long black hair, tied up with rough cloth strips, he's got a good-looking face, clear eyes and sharp features, a bit eerie compared to other kids in the village. After knocking a couple of times, he started humming to himself. Again, last night's rain washed away stubborn stones, now the sunset shines on my humble abode. This boy earns his keep by forging iron. Without selling firewood or knives there's no cash for food. You ask how much? 10 copper coins for 1 yuan. Before finishing his song, the door of the thatched cottage creaked open as a 12 or 13-year-old girl stepped inside. The little girl's face is like white jade, with long eyelashes, charming and lovely. She just entered the door. She covered her mouth at the door, giggling, half ringing only said, "Fei Chen brother, you are nonsense. 10 copper plates and 1 money can buy 10, which can be so expensive. Meet the narrow heart. People can report it to the official." Hey, the official will report. A Yunfei Chern firewood knife can be used for hundreds of years, sell 10 times 8 times the price. And how? Put down the hammer in his hand. Fei Chern grinned and walked over to take over the basket in the hands of the little girl. Can it be steamed bread today? Well, how can it last 100 years? Yesterday, Daddy went up to the mountain with the firewood knife you made, and after only 3 cuts, a corner was missing, and today he asked me to bring it to you to mend it. Kiowa from behind the belt to take off the missing mouth of the firewood knife. Passed. I showed a smile. Ah, the knife and iron materials were not bought well this time, not because of my handwork. Flying Chern scratched his head to smile. Take out the steamed bread inside the basket, and bite the mouth with water. That Flying Chern brother, Kiowa will not stop you. You eat first, and tomorrow, you will come to take this firewood knife, that is not bad for hundreds of years. Kiowa back before. Do not forget to tease the cloud faken once. What's the hurry today? Let my brother hug you, before you go. Hey hey. Cannot help but say, Yun Fei Chern in the past is a bear hug. The devil's claws to the development has not been completely pinched the chest. By the way, also do not forget to incense a bite. Well, your saliva, and a lot of sweat. Kiowa pushed away Yunfei Chern, quickly erased the saliva left on his face. His face did not feel flushed, stared at him and said, "You are like this, every time, good or bad." Where the bad? This is the pain you just hold you. If replaced by Wu, that little girl, Yunfei Chern also disdained to hold her. Yun Feiken licked his mouth, a look of enjoyment. Huh, Kiowa ignored you. Kiowa Bang will close the door, detailed angry and go. Yun Fei Chern is an orphan. Listen to his adoptive father said. He was picked up at the bottom of the 9 Immortal Mountain. His adoptive father was a blacksmith. Since the inexplicable disappearance of years ago, he inherited the blacksmithing business, beating some sickles and firewood knives and other iron, sold to the neighborhood to live. And the little girl Kai is the daughter of the old Chern family in the nearby village. Because the scenery here is beautiful, Kiowa often come to play. The little girl comes, often sends some steamed bread, pickles, and so on to fill his stomach. So too people childhood sweetheart, very good. Yun Fei Chern will put the basket at the door, sitting on the stone to see Chern Kiowa away. Just as he was eating the coarse grain steamed bread with relish, Suddenly a black light flashed from the corner of his eye, and fell into a place in Juxian Mountain. He jumped up, put down the steamed bread, and cried out in surprise, that it is not a treasure. Long in the mountains, strange nature is to know a lot. Without hesitation, Yun Fei Chen immediately put on the wild boar skin made of animal clothes, the waist with a new firewood knife, the back of the iron tire bow and quiver, the rest of the steamed bread in the pocket, then chase the black light fell. He often went out hunting when he was a child, and was born with infinite strength, excellent eyesight, and had killed wild boar with a bow, which can be called audacious, and entering the mountains naturally is a common thing, and he heard many people say that the story of those mortal encounter treasure become immortal. This encounter, do not want to miss the fairy edge. Chasing the place where the black light fell, Yun Fei Chen walked in the mountains for 2 days. Kenjuxian Mountain, how big, at the moment is no doubt. Look up, all kinds of tall ancient trees can be seen everywhere, a plant and branches, thick leaves, the head of the sun are covered tightly. Large and small birds standing in the treetops issued a terrible call. Now he was facing a tall tree, with an arrow with no tail in it, which he had left behind. Of course, he remembered all the deep forest paths in the mountains, and here, 1 step further, was the last place where he stopped. A year ago, 500 pounds of wild boar were hunted here. In retrospect, Yun Fei Chen could not help but feel a chill rise suddenly, because that time, he almost died in the boar's fangs. Patting the wild boar skin clothes he was wearing, Yun Fei Chen breathed a long sigh of relief and gave himself courage. Hey, can you also come to a 1,000 pounds? Pa, come on, what a coincidence. Yun Fei Chen, a pat on the head, quickly slipped up the tree. Pa, I saw an unexpected wild boar strolling past, arching on the ground, 2 huge fangs sharp, low raw, enough to have 2,000 pounds. Yun Fei Chen held the bow tightly in his hand, and dared not relax for half a moment. This bow was an iron-clad bow commonly used by the army, but he was still not sure about running through the thick skin of the wild boar. The wild boars in the woods are the most terrible, because they often itch on the pine trees, that secrete a kind of sticky pine oil, and roll on the ground, and when they are soaked with dirt, it is like wearing armor, and even a horn bow may not penetrate. Yun Fei Chen, dark horror, and there are 2,000 pounds of wild boar. It is very likely that the old people legend wild boar essence. The trees in the forest are already very wide apart, but the wild boar walking in the gap still seems very narrow. It is a step by step to the mountain, perhaps just the cloud flying churn as an ordinary bird on the tree, or a mountain monkey, hiding in the tree for half an hour. Yun Fei Chen dared to continue to the north, close to the black light falling point, which is the direction of the wild boar. Another day passed, deep in the deep. Hey, aunt, can I have the black gourd? At best, you can only put water in it. Otherwise, I'll help you make an iron, which is much stronger than this stuff. Yun Fei Chen stared at the front of the big round woman, display his 3-inch not rotten tongue. The woman had dark skin, short limbs, a huge stomach, and an upturned nose. She glanced at Yun Fei Chen with her tiny eyes and asked, how do you know it's just for water? And get me an iron one. Can it be a treasure? No, which will be, what baby? This stuff is black. Are small children randomly infected to go, how into your eyes? I just want to take it back to my new baby to play with. Yun Fei Chen smiled. The woman did not believe what Yun Fei Chen said, and shook the painted black gourd, as if she found water in it again, regardless of whether it was poisonous or not, and drank it in one gulp. Before Yun Fei Chen to the position of the black light fall, found a strange black woman will be a gourd in the pit to screw up. The pit is obviously something smashed out, and there is only a black small gourd in the pit, so he decided that it is the baby that fell from the sky. Of course, he knew that the other person was not a good kind, let alone a person in the forest. The ghost was hard to see. He thought carefully, this woman may be the legendary monster, but he was also bold. Ordinary people had to run away when they saw him, but he dared to go out, but also hit the idea of this monster. Blinking, the black woman was enjoying the taste of the water in the gourd, but turned her head and her face changed. Well, you are not a little brave kid. You dare to slip into this mountain alone, and you dare to do business with me. Don't you know that this is my pig Juniang's territory? Yun Fei Chen heart me so a violent jump up. Pig yokai. Is it not the first 2,000 pounds of fat pig? The pig, a pig's mother. Hey, boy, this is disturbing, don't blame, boy now leave, don't bother you to eat, Yun Fei Chen flatter, the right foot has taken a step back, the hand has been placed on the knife handle, having fun, slaughtering one of his own kind, maybe his nephew or his concubine, and wearing a pig's skin suit, what is that? That's not asking for death. But he was not too afraid. Even if the stupid pig became a fine, no magic, it can only rely on a body of strength. Aha, is my baby's fur comfortable on you? It is true that I have been waiting for you near every day, it is really narrow. The pig demon's eyes were fixed on Yun Feiken's boar skin coat, his fangs already protruding from his mouth, and his face was a mixture of harsh and distressed expression. Mother, the original year before kill is her child, plowed Fei Chen secretly bitter. He just wanted to escape. The pig demon turned into the body, a 2,000 pounds of giant boar, straight hit. And the gourd was hanging on its tusks, and if it could not be killed, the gourd would not have it. Bella, under the loud noise, sawdust flying, 2 people waist of the tree was knocked down. The roar of the pig's hooves to the cloud Fei Chen rushed. Now, even climbing a tree is not enough to save the evil of all beings. Chapter 2, The Magic. There is not much in the forest, but there are a lot of trees, green and quiet. If it is not because of the sound of killing pigs, maybe people will be reluctant to go back and forth. Dodge the lunging pig demon, plowed fake an iron tire bow pulled into the full moon, an arrow shot, but a sound, the arrow was directly swung open. However, the pig demon was hit by the arrow of the cloud faken, unexpectedly strange, stopped, gasping for breath. Owloa! Owloa! Suddenly, the pig demon howled twice, and its body began to grow larger and larger, and its black hair became longer and longer, until it turned grey and white. Magic! Yun Fei Chen secretly alert that pig demon to use, what magic, and took the opportunity to run up, even lost life, but also treasure what? It took him more than an hour to climb to a tree to breathe, but he was surprised, why the pig demon did not chase after him, and kill the others' children, and it should not let go of himself. Such an estimate, Yun Fei Chen went back. This time he was careful, than just brusquely ask the pig demon to gourd is more careful. Dare to return to the same place, but see the pig demon unexpectedly died, but the original 2,000 pounds of weight suddenly became less than 1,000 pounds. Its body frame is already big, such a look, it seems like skin and bones, and hair has become white. In the Flying Chen view, it is like aging dead. It is estimated that the gourd is some evil. After all, he only saw the red gourd, yellow gourd, this black is indeed some strange. Take down the black gourd on the fangs. Yun Fei Chen cannot stay here for a moment. This is the So demon, there may be a boar demon, or something will come soon, so the So will run home. Another 2 days later, Flying Chen returned to their own nest, into the long-lost house. The house has been cleaned up in good order. Even a few days do not wash the clothes, also scrub clean, sweep the eye room. He found a letter on the table, with steamed bread pressure. Steamed bread has been mildew. Looking at the surrounding scenery, Yun Fei Chen heart suddenly have a hollow firm feeling. Obviously, this steamed bread should be Chen Kiowa, and the letter may be a bad sign. He was not stupid since childhood. A lot of things he can guess out, especially bad things. Fei Chen brother, Kiowa went up the mountain to learn art. Maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years to come back. Don't miss Kiowa. Writing on the letter elegant. Chen Kiowa is the only girl in the village who has read the book, and Yun Fei Chen in general, from his adoptive father. After reading the letter, Fei Chen's hands have been unable to help trembling. Desperate, he quickly ran to the Chen family. He still held a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of fantasy, hope that his childhood friend did not leave, waiting for him, at the door. But far away, he could only see Chen Kai's father at the door, smoking the farm's water gun smoke, with a hint of ease in his expression, but in his view, this is undoubtedly a very uncomfortable expression. Uncle Chen, where's Kiowa? Yun Fei Chen almost with a trace of crying, since childhood grew up together, which cannot rely on some. How can you not feel? Ha! Is it Flying Chen? What are you looking like? Did you just get back from a hunting trip? Kiowa also thought you ran to Xiankao town to sell firewood, but also left a letter to you. You didn't go home. Kiowa's father is an honest farmer, people grow tall thin, very kind. Fei Chen idea is to build the firewood knife, can get the town to sell, so the price can be higher, but with his current technology and speed, the light can supply this small village of dozens of households has been great, is often boast themselves, so Kiowa think they went to the town. Fei Chen back, yes, I went hunting just back, uncle, Kiowa said to go up the mountain to learn, what is going on. Lao Chen grinned and said, well, speaking of learning art in the mountains, it is really a manifestation of ancestral virtues, guess what? 3 days ago, a dozen or so fairies passed through our village on their way, and somehow they let Kiowa show them the way. They said that we Kiowa was qualified, and a good cultivator of fairy magic, so they took us up the mountain. Uncle Chen. Ah, fuck. Why did you just let her up the hill? Aren't you afraid they're liars or something? Listen to Kiowa's father deeply disapproved. Yun Fei Chen stomp. Forget the identity of the question. Lao Chen was not angry, and still said with a good temper, no, those immortals left 100 tiles of silver before they left. Ah, how is this a human trafficker? I know you two childhood friends, since childhood together, but she has gone, you don't have to be too sad. Oh, by the way, uncle, that firewood knife repaired. This 100 silver is a huge sum of money, let alone one person, that is, 10 or 8 children, in this poor mountainous area, all bought at will, and not yet. Yun Fei Chen heard Kiowa has been taken away, a moment of melancholy in the heart. When the other party asked about the gap of firewood, he suddenly some mouth knot. Lao Chen smiled, nothing, the firewood knife, uncle doesn't need it now, you can keep it, and sell it to someone else. It seems to hear the dialogue of two people. Kiowa's mother opened the door to welcome out, and said, yo, this is not Flying Chen. Kiowa went to Xianshan 3 days ago, what are you doing here? Hey, our old Chen family is also counted as Xiankao town, unlike you, selling a broken firewood knife, can handle a thing, go back to being a craftsman in the hills. Those fairy home female Taoist chief can all say, with the talent, later bigger, certainly help to find a suitable Qing Xuan Gate fairy long, Qing Xuan Gate you know. That's the best fairy pie in the world. What's the best thing an unwanted brat like you can do? Don't Toad want to eat swan meat, and don't think that our clever son will follow you, because with your skill, you can't even marry the lame daughter of Tian by Lao. Kiowa mother is snobby mean. Kiowa often take home steamed bread to him, after being known, go back without being scolded. These he did not see, but also a little heard, so usually will not go to Kiowa home. Moo. This is gratuitous, Kiowa mother said. Cloud Fei Chen face suddenly ashamed and angry. You what you say, you no one wants to have a lie. Isn't your foster father missing for a year? Your family is as poor as anything now, there is no next meal, do you want to rely on my Chen family? Kiowa mother we sneer, for Yun Fei Chen this looks wild children, she is hate in the heart. Well, mother of the child, a good point of mouth, a 13 or 14-year-old child, you are endlessly talking about what? Lao Chen stretched out his hand to block his wife to continue to say difficult to listen, and turned to Yun Fei Chen said, Fei Chen, you also don't go to the heart, your aunt on that temper, you are hungry. Uncle will bring you steamed bread. Yun Fei can teeth bite clucking, where is willing to see this person again, hold down the heart of the anger said, no, I am going. Ah, look at his eyes, quaint, transparent people cannot see clearly, the whole thief boy, no father and no mother, even his adoptive father ran away, but also want to be good with us, really do not know heaven and earth. Children in the village marry at the age of 15, and WUS harsh words are not entirely unreasonable. Ah, why don't you talk less? Behind the voice of Kiowa parents, let Yun Fei Chen heart is more uncomfortable, he suddenly felt lonely, because there has been Kiowa for a long time, even if the adoptive father left years ago, he did not feel sad, but this time, obviously let him feel very sad. Back to the cottage, Flying Chen squatting at the door, before the happy mood has long been gone, originally also want to share with Kiowa find baby gourd this unexpected joy, but now gone, may never see again. Broken gourd. What an evil thing. How could I have gone to find you? Remorse and scold a word, Flying Chen will paint black gourd thrown far away, even the lid also popped out, the liquid inside the flow of the ground, The grass on the ground dyed gold. If I don't go, maybe I can see Chow again. Woo, what am I going to do now? Fei Chen, a change in the past cheerful temperament, actually crying. Fei Chen suddenly stopped, because he saw an incredible thing. I saw the gold water in the gourd poured on the grass blades, and began to grow wildly. The golden water has not been seen, it is like water into the dry soil, general absorption into it. More wonderful things happened, the green grass became red, and then with his naked eyes can see the speed of change, 3 leaves into 6, 6 and 9, gradually crowded with each other and circled, until its leaves have been surrounded by a red grass leaf flower, just stopped growing. Fei Chen walked in the past, to pick it under observation, but strangely found that this group of grass leaves flowers hard, pulled down, even motionless, like steel. He took out the firewood knife, luck cow force, hard cut down, dang. After a crisp sound, the leaves were strangely fine, but his inferior firewood knife had already broken a gap, which made him very difficult to understand. This is a treasure indeed. Mumbling a sentence, Flying Churn will gourd in a few drops of gold water tried to pour on the firewood knife. Chai knife, like a piece of steamed bread, slowly absorbed the golden liquid into the knife body, from the original black to dark green. The whole is not only heavy a lot, but also become smooth and thorough, flowing, billowing, as if it has become a sharp weapon in the world. Make the strong force, cut the red grass leaf flowers, cut with one cut, the cut is smooth, and the slightest effort is not spent, just like an ordinary knife on the general wild grass. And when he used this dark green firewood knife to cut the ordinary firewood knife he built, it was like cutting on a thin piece of white paper, and it cracked when it touched. There was no resistance at all. When it was really cutting iron, it can be seen that the black gourd of the palm size is indeed as he said, which is undoubtedly the treasure of the fairy home. Now Kiowa is gone, my adoptive father is unknown, I have nothing to do here. The village is afraid that I cannot tolerate such a stubborn person, live a lot of things, and now with this black gourd, it is better to go to Xiankao town to see, or can earn more money is not certain, such as earning enough trouble. I go to Kingston Mountain to worship teachers, or inquire about what immortal Taoist priest, this will seek art. It is not certain that I am lucky, and can get the appreciation of the fairy home, do a boy gatekeeper or something, and have the chance to meet Kiowa in the future. Flying Churn is self-aware, ask yourself answer between, into the back room. Lifting the anvil that had been placed on the patio since childhood, Fei Chen picked up the half-book that lay almost full of dust underneath. This book does not know how long the anvil footpad, also strange, is poor, blew off the thick layer of dust, exposing the 3 words Kill Fairy Mojai, but the Flying Churn did not do the same thing, obviously know the book, so just casually stuffed into the wide sleeve. He tied the anvil with a rope, took a hammer, and 10 pounds of inferior iron, and placed them in a strong iron basket, and then carried them behind his back with the iron bow. Arbitrarily, this seems to have become his habit, and there was no good thing left in the cottage. A preparation down, it is dozens of pounds of household goods, his strength is great. A basket of things back on the body is still light, half a point of obstruction. In the summer evening, the rosy clouds fell down, and I looked back at the cottage where I had lived for more than 10 years, feeling a lot, but only for a moment. Embarked on a journey to the town of Xiankao, or the evil of all beings. Chapter 3, is vain or stubborn. Xiankao town, the starting point of Juxian Mountain, the Henbei of Zhou State, is also the largest trading town in the north. The town is fully equipped, cloth zhuang, bank, yamen, all are dazzling, lively. 2 doors in the town. To the south is the central plains of the population gathering, to the north is the towering mountains, rare people, demons run amok. North to the mountains, under the city wall, there is a simple iron shop, but although the sparrows are small, the 5 viscera are complete, even a small bellows stove, but also added a few new firewood knives on the ground. The gear before also with the penny, hanging on the clothes crooked written advertising slogan, Mobei cold light iron, Tianshan woodcutter, only expensive not cheap, must be 3 money 3. The blacksmith shop is close to the north city gate, and under the entrance and exit, the nearby people are also counted as very many, and this advertisement has attracted many people to stop and watch, and the stunt is really not small. Yay, look at this kid, he's really fucking ghost, bold, the same rice to raise 100 people. I don't know how his father taught. The soldiers guarding the city laughed at each other. The bearded soldier who stood opposite replied, "That's not true, mother. This boy was only sharpening knives and selling goods last month, and now he is making iron, and the things are very expensive." "Ah, don't say. I heard that old rope, that green dragon knife, really let him make up, darling. 80 pounds of stuff. Happy rope life ghost these 2 days in that boast. Hey hey, call us the chief rope ghost. You are really not afraid of being whipped, uncle, sister, or I occupy this place today, or the old rules, the old skill, can fill the fairy home-cutting demon sword, under can fill the people chopping wood knife, to sharpen the knife is also fast and light, keep the sister away thinking, the men came to boast, not good money, not good silver." The two soldiers looked at each other, and turned to stare at the young man shouting business. Cannot help but shake his head. This sunny morning, let him make some, even the mood of bullshit is gone, and cannot be controlled. While shouting, a middle-aged man with a head cloth and a grey Taoist robe came to the iron shop and asked curiously, "Hey, boy, you really can, even fill the fairy home-cutting demon sword? But don't trick me. That feeling is, you don't have to look at the boy's young age. The ability can be porcelain real. Hey, it is the Taoist leader of the fairy family." The young man raised his head, and saw that he was a Taoist. His mouth was like hearing from ear to ear, and the excitement in his heart was self-evident. Although this Siankao town is one of the few supplies to the north, but Sianja Taoist, September Forum, is also very much, and occasionally can see the last time. But every time the young man is laughing his mouth is not close. The middle-aged Taoist looked at the young man, although young, but always hanging a smile between the brow. Even he was infected and hungry, smiling. "Oh, well, you put me this sword stone tiger make up a mend well, the money is easy to say, how much you want to shout." With a wave of his sleeve, he did not know where to hand over a white sword, which was crystal white, reflecting the young man's face and becoming lively. And the middle-aged Taoist man's eyes were also burning. He also heard the introduction of others, but wanted to see how the young man was able to repair this generally more high-end blacksmith shop. Cannot repair the sword. The young man carefully halved the sword blade into the furnace, and then began to pull the bellows. The speed is very fast, only half sound. The burning flint stove burned the white sword red. TSK, you have such strength at such a young age. But your boy has been practicing since childhood. The middle-aged Taoist covered his goatee and exclaimed, "That's not true." The young man's eyes lit up. The iron pliers picked up the blade. Jingle jingle, knock. The sword is not broken, just missing a few holes, obviously the same material of the sword made by the addition of the marks. In the repair of such things, he is already familiar with. Knock on a few times. The teenager took the water spoon next to the splash on a little water, knocked back and forth a few times. This weapon actually let him knock on the original, and even revealed a faint light, which made the middle-aged Taoist is greatly amazed. "Oh, that's amazing. Isn't it an ancestral style?" The middle-aged priest sighed. "Of course, my craft has been passed down for thousands of years, from grandpa's grandpa, and I used to repair weapons to the Qing Xuan man." "Hey, the Taoist chief is a Qing Xuan man. Teenagers talk nonsense. This is, oh, silver for you, this should be enough." The middle-aged Taoist priest also did not answer, smiling and throwing down a bag of silver. He wanted to go to the city gate. "The way, fairy long, you don't go boy Yunfei Chen." Kindly fairy long included boy temporarily listed the door wall is a, young is Yunfei Chen, see the way to go. He quickly pulled each other. "Ha ha, your excellency is unfinished, and the fairy path is not. Please come back." The sleeve gently waved down. "Do not know how to move. The middle-aged Taoist will hold his hand to swing away." Who, ask the master to take me as a disciple. Poverty is not for you. Allah, teacher, how about accepting me as an apprentice? No, the middle-aged Taoist was so entangled that he just took off his sword, and walked out into the air. "Yay! Old man. Take me as a disciple." Yunfei Chen looked at the shadow of Tao people away, his heart mixed. I do not know how to feel now, because he is also not know how many times to see people step on the sword and go. Siankao town, after all, is a big town. Xianja Daoshang from and to buy a lot, Every time I see a Taoist to repair the sword he will beg, regardless of the other party's power, just ask, but often no one to take him. As expected, he carried this black gourd on his back, and his luck was not good, and he was still disappointed after disappointment. Hey, look at that kid, here it is again, how many times is this? The soldiers at the gate again gasped, and laughed. I don't know, 17 or 8 times, and the last time I got people begging him in return, the soldier opposite replied, smiling, is it really so good to be immortal? How can you be so persistent, like us, holding the wife and teasing the children, and drinking a little wine? Beautiful days, must go to build, what avenue? I don't know, to each his own. Jingle. Yun Fei Chen, disappointed to continue to knock up his firewood, continue to use firewood to stir up the diluted black gourd liquid. This small basin of water has added a drop of gourd essence, used to create firewood or repair sword, can be done to the new degree of old. Of course, for the sake of safety, gourd early let him hide. Yay, uncles and uncles, sisters and sisters, today I still occupy this place, or the same old rules, old skills, can repair the fairy home-cutting demon sword, can repair the people's firewood knife. Shouting again, and countless people shaking their heads, countless people feeling the stubbornness and audacity of the young. The evil of all beings. Chapter 4. Worship the Master. What are you capable of? I don't believe Lin Ruiyu is the first one. The woman called Lin Ruiyu, even the name all burst out. Obviously more than the cloud faken is so simple. Yes, he is so skinny that he cannot even strike the master's sword. All right, all stop. Why do you talk so much? You guys stop and let the teacher say something. The female master of yellow clothes smiled, staring at Flying Churn. His eyes are not believe that the other side really has the kind of level he said. Yes, master. Several women smiled, apparently with their master relationship is very harmonious, laughing flowers and branches. Do these fairies not believe it either? Yun Fei Chen pretends surprised asked, the heart already have a dispute. Oh, the fairy is not dare to be. If it is an ordinary sword, I would believe it is no harm, but if it is my fairy where to clear tears, I do not believe it. The yellow woman master smiled, hand turned, a rusty, but looming green 4 feet long sword appeared in the hand. Flying Churn, view this sword. I saw this sword 2 feet to see wide, which vaguely lost the domineer of iron, opened many holes, obviously is too long, but look closely, but see this weapon metal texture is unknown, and he has repaired many iron is different. It is estimated that it is not the general iron vanadium, but if it is really repaired, the difficulty should be small. This weapon can be repaired. Yun Fei Chen gnashed his teeth, his expression seems to be a bit stubborn, and there seems to be a little uncertainty, and his hands have been pulled tightly, it seems very nervous. Of course, this thing can repair, the effect of the black good, this baby he is of course understand, fill the gas of gold and iron is the most good at. That yellow female master see Flying Churn so far-fetched, cover mouth want to laugh, but also said, can repair is able to repair, cannot repair, you like this I see is probably no game. They laughed again. Can a fairy bet? Fly in the heart of the smile, the mouth is a skimmer, appears to be very unconvinced. Ha, what dare not bet? This weapon if your little brother can repair, want the sisters to do anything, right? A woman thought she saw the signs and gave each one a wink. The female master in yellow is also smiling. After all, this clear tears before how is also a fairy, better than the ordinary fairy home primer people use some level, which can be ordinary people can repair good. Well, since the fairies don't believe it, then I Yun Fei Chen only bet on one thing, if Fei Chen can fix this Ching. Clear tears, that then please ask the fairy master to collect the boy temporarily list the door wall is a. After saying that, Yun Fei Chen directly knelt down, his eyes tried to squeeze out a few tears. After a few months of practical performance, he has long been ready to cry and laugh, and when he frowns and skimps his mouth, his tears can fall down for free. In the eyes of outsiders, the end is very poor, and the sentence temporarily listing the door wall is just that he copied some books to show that he has a little knowledge, and came to the master to learn. After all, in this fairy home Taos people, very many fairy Bridgetown boundary pan for a long time. I have long heard that fairy home Taos people like to read and write children. Why are you crying? It's a bet. Why are you crying? Ah, well, don't cry, if you can fix this clear tear, let the master accept you. Right. Master, call Lin Ruiyu. Woman, see the eyes of the flying tears swish straight off. The heart is also poor sloppy children, young out of mixed life, strange is not easy, so while he helped up, while for flying asked his master, this, yellow female master some difficult, but see flying churn cry very poor, his several female students have compassion, suddenly soft heart down, it is decided to repair well, or not repair it does not matter, anyway, to the mountain is no harm, qualifications do not let him play iron, repair pot will just, this thought, he said, well, if you can repair, female way, will accept you as an apprentice. Yun Fei Chern big joy, the secret way in the heart is still a female Taoist more soft, not as the gang of bull-nose male Taoist, 10 horses cannot pull away, it is deserved to be called the world bull-nose old way. However, he wanted to return to want to say, while the other party did not regret, immediately hit a few rattles, crying, fairy master kindness, thank you to the boy, no, thank you for giving me this opportunity, I will do my best to repair my tears, and not insult my master's kindness. Looking at the Yun Fei Chern, who climbed up along the pole, the yellow female Taoist heart could not help but sigh, alas, this young man is so crafty and cunning, accepted him, and did not know whether it was a blessing, or a disaster for this Xiangxia Pai. Worship the teacher, Yun Fei Chern is no longer artificial, respectfully took the rusty sword clear tears, put it in the stove, when it was read out, a sudden knock and pour on the golden liquid water, to be the rust and the opening are knocked flat, regardless of everyone surprised, take out the black gourd, pour a few drops of golden liquid up, half sound, clear tears in the eyes of the public absorbed a few drops of golden liquid, immediately become green sparkling, with transparent luster, and this water general green all around the sword, become green dark, murderous, and the sword on the treasure beads also become constant light flashing, fairy meaningful, at this time, clear tears just worthy of being called clear tears, fairy became a real fairy, just entered the master, must give a greeting gift, right? This effort is naturally rewarding, and this time he is also read countless people, see these sisters and yellow master know is a sentimental person, so just rest assured to take out the gourd to forge weapons, he is also on the what a skill. I don't know who shouted a voice, the rest of the people cannot help but follow. What is this? The yellow woman priest looked at this black gourd, thoughtful, but did not wait for her to do more speculation. The surrounding has gradually surrounded people. Master, there are so many people, where'd better go, master? Well, this is not a place to stay long, my child, take your belongings and go up the mountain as your teacher. Yellow woman way also not much nonsense, although let Cloud Faken to pick up, but she can be too lazy to wait. A wave, Cloud Faken placed in the corner of the wall of the guy stuff all the Kainkan bag, and will fly sword sacrifice up, thin hand picked up Yun Fei Chern, ish, then fly to the sea and sky. The 2 soldiers guarding the gate were surprised, when they saw several people flying swords, and went away, they were surprised, and said that this kid was blessed with a lot of luck, would they learn from this kid tomorrow? Yun Fei Chern at this moment is really feeling, Xianian, this is the Xianian, as if cannot catch, in fact, is all at hand, only you insist. Wind, slipping through the temples, tears, from the eyes, he held this rare master's small waist, tears cannot help but be moved straight down, how this waist is so thin, ying so a grip, oh, as if he touched the white jade Chan body under the yellow neon dress, the touch felt like white jade soft cotton, let him live in a trance for a while. Little monkey, do you hold your teacher so tightly? Still touch, not afraid to leave you for the teacher. Who, master, I am afraid. You. In fact, he is not afraid of heights, running in the woods all the year round, cutting bird nests in the trees, ambushing wild animals, for leaving the ground has been accustomed to. The eye is 10,000 meters high, the lake waves and mountains on the ground suddenly become smaller, he is more curious, and afraid of only a little. Close your eyes, enjoy the gentleness of that moment, relative to enjoy the strange change of the sky landscape, flying churn more towards and holding the beauty master in front of the body, the faint fragrance, let him not know has been deeply addicted